Content repurposing is a little bit of a pain, isn't it? For marketers, business owners as well, right? It takes a lot of work. Hey, let's turn our long YouTube video into a LinkedIn post, into an Instagram post. Let's create, I don't know, TikTok video out of it. Let's repurpose it, right? Let's turn it into a blog post and whatever, right? We tend to spend a lot of time with it in marketing. The good news is that nowadays we have AI to help us with that task. And I want to show you this automation that I've created inside make.com. And this automation specifically, what it does is it helps me get the content of a YouTube video script added to a Google Doc. And it turns this content into a LinkedIn post. And it adds this LinkedIn post to a Google spreadsheet so that I can take a look at the Google spreadsheet, modify whatever I need, and then post it straight away to LinkedIn. I'm actually using this as well. I could have added a last step here where it posts automatically on LinkedIn, but I typically like to take a look at things and change things up and add more of my voice before I post things. This is just me, right? But either way, this automation in itself helps me save a lot of time, because usually what I was doing is I was, getting the video script, going to ChatGPT, adding the prompt, right? Turn it, or using a custom GPT, turn it into a LinkedIn post, and then going to LinkedIn. So it's a lot of back and forward there, and there's no reason to do all of that if we can have these things connected. So I'm using make.com for this one. Before we learn how to create it, let me show you the end result, which is what happens when this automation runs. And so let me just go ahead and let me add Google Doc to this folder here. I'm just gonna copy and paste something that I've done before, some tutorial here. So this is a video script that I have, that actually I've posted already on YouTube, and it's a video on HubSpot CRM. I talk a lot about HubSpot in the channel, so I've published this one, and so I added this Google Doc to this folder. Okay, it's called HubSpot CRM. That's the name of my document. Now what I'm gonna do is I am going to run this automation inside Make. And hopefully, if things work out as they should, we'll see a new row here in my Google spreadsheet, okay? Cool, so let me just go ahead and let me run this once. I can see that the ChatGPT module is thinking about a good LinkedIn post, and hopefully we'll end up with another one here. And here you go. Tired of juggling spreadsheets, email chains, sticky notes, blah, blah, blah. Publish a step-by-step tutorial on how to get started with HubSpot CRM. Great, awesome. This is exactly what the video is about. So, yay, it's working. Cool. Now that you see the end result, right? Let's go ahead and let's learn how to set this up. Okay, so I'm inside my make.com account. I've been playing around. If you're following me here in my channel, and if you don't, please subscribe. If you're following me here, you'll know that I've been playing around with make.com recently. And I'm loving it. I think it's a great tool. I think it helps me save time with a lot of little boring tasks that I was doing manually so far. So inside your make.com account, which if you don't have a make.com account, click in the description of the video below. You're going to find where you go to create your own account, right? If you don't have an account, you have to create it in the first place. And so once you're inside your make.com account, you're gonna click to create a scenario. A scenario is basically an automation, right? Hopefully my video is not right on top of the things I wanna show you here. Last week I was recording a bunch of tutorials and my webcam was on top of stuff all the time and I didn't realize. Horrible. Anyway, Make.com, in theory, you can create a lot of free automation inside Make.com. For stuff where you're using AI, I'm using ChatGPT, right? There are other types of AI tools that you can go for as well. For AI stuff, typically you have to buy credits, just so that you know. But still, it's much cheaper than regular marketing automation tool for comparison. So let's go ahead and let's create this scenario that I was showing you just now. If you're not familiar with the concept, a scenario is basically an automation that you create inside make.com. You're gonna need a trigger, which is what fires off the automation, and you're gonna need your actions, right? So the trigger in my case is an app, is the Google Doc app, right? So Google Docs. Cool. So notice that we have a lot of different things to work with here. You can trigger a workflow from when a document is created or modified in a folder. And there are many additional types of triggers and actions related to Google Docs that you can use here. So the very first step is to select which app works as your trigger in this case, which in my case is Google Docs, right? And then you're going to select which exact trigger you want to use for that app, which in my case is actually the watch documents, as it says there. It's going to keep watching the documents inside this Google folder here, and it's going to trigger as soon as there is a new document added to that folder. Cool. Let's go ahead and let's set this up. So the drive in my case is my own drive. It's my own Google Drive account. Obviously, I went ahead and I did this before setting this up. I connected my Google account with make.com. If you haven't done this, you have to do this in the first place, okay? All you have to do is click on add, log in, authorize, that kind of stuff. And the folder that I want this trigger to be watching is a folder called scripts 123. That's pretty much it. So this is my trigger in this case. And when does it trigger? It triggers from now onwards, okay? Now I'm gonna add my actions to this automation. It's very, very similar to creating automation inside any other marketing automation tool. Like inside HubSpot, you're gonna manually set up your trigger. You're going to add your list of actions. Inside ActiveCampaign, same thing. Inside Klaviyo, same thing. Any marketing automation tool of your choice, you'll have to do this, right? This logic. Trigger, action, and so on and so on and so on. Very simple, very straightforward logic here. So let me just add the second module, which in my case is, okay, a new document was added. Let's get the content that is inside this, this document, right? So I'm gonna click on Google Docs, and I'm going to select the action get content of a document. Cool. Now, get content of a document. This step is all about just telling the automation which document are we talking about here. Right? This part here might be a little bit tricky to explain, but let me try my best here. Every Google document has an ID, right? I don't have to tell this action here, get that specific Google document. I simply wanted to automatically select the newest, the most recent Google Doc that was added to my Google folder, right? I don't have to manually tell it, right? Now go to that document, now that document, now that document. The easiest way of doing this is actually mapping it out by Google document ID, which is basically here. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm telling the automation, look, get the ID of the most recent document added to my folder, right? Because you're watching the folder, you know which document I'm talking about. And then from there, we're gonna do something else. Okay, this whole thing will make more sense once you see the three actions set up. Let me just add the third module, which in our case is basically an OpenAI module here. There are different types of responses that you can use, actions, right? To simplify, different types of actions that you can use. For this specific situation, let's go ahead with create a model response, which is basically us chatting with OpenAI and asking for stuff, right? The same way when you go and you add your prompt to ChatGPT, you get something back. That's exactly what we're doing here. We're getting the model, we're getting the AI to create a response for our prompt. So in this case here, once again, I have my OpenAI connected with make.com. For simplicity, let me select the 04 model here. I don't have too much of an advice on which models you should select. I've been playing around with different stuff, but from what I realized, mini modules, any modules that are a little bit more cost saving are probably the best to go for. I wouldn't use ChatGPT 5 for this now, right? And so let me add some reading for you below on what kind of models exist and their differences. If you are not going ahead with ChatGPT for this automation, feel free to, select any model of your choice. The best tip that I have for you, play around with different models. I've been using 04 for my mini, for my simple automations, and it's been working great. The prompt that I want to add here is the following. Let me just copy what I've had done before. Text prompt, create a LinkedIn post promoting the video. Please refer to, and then here, let me just get the text option. I'm gonna explain this in a second. Text content. As the video content. This is an example of an ideal LinkedIn post. Tired of building HubSpot workflows from scratch? I just published a quick tutorial showing how to use HubSpot's AI assistant. So I'm giving an example. This is an example of the LinkedIn post that I want, right? And at the end, I add a placeholder for, sorry for all these typos. I'm clearly not paying attention to grammar today. At the end of my prompt, I have a link for the actual video, right? So this is a placeholder. Because it's going to be added to Google Spreadsheets, I can change it later on. But anyway, what am I doing here? I'm adding a prompt for OpenAI, for ChatGPT, to get the text content and turn it into a LinkedIn post. Talita, where is this text content is coming from? It's coming from the Google document, right? So in this step here, I'm telling the automation, get content of this document, and then I'm adding document ID. When this action works, right? When this action operates as it should, I would be extracting a lot of different information from the document because I'm using the action get content of a document. And so that's why here, when I click to add my prompt, I have the option to add these different types of information that we are getting from the document, if that makes sense, right? So the trigger is the AI is paying attention to my folder, and then it says, hey, new document added. The second action is, okay, let's get all the information inside the document. And then the third action is, hey, tell OpenAI to get the information from that document, that one, and then do something about it. This is the order of things, right? Cool, let me just keep on going here, add another module. The last module that I want to add is simply adding this content to a specific Google spreadsheet. And so let me just make sure my Google connection is created with make.com. This is also a step here. And I'm going to just simply select this spreadsheet that I have. It's called LinkedIn Posts. Okay, LinkedIn Posts is this spreadsheet that I have here inside my scripts 123 drive. Okay, sheet name is the sheet one. I only have one sheet in this spreadsheet, and this document doesn't have any headers, which I could add, but I was lazy, so I didn't add. Let me just go. It doesn't have headers. It's absolutely fine. All I want to be able to do is look at the new posts added, and I want to take a look at the text, and I want to copy and paste, change, have fun, and then go and post it on LinkedIn, right? So this is basically, I have to select the column range. Let's just do A to Z. So I'm mapping this, right? I'm just mapping this with how my Google spreadsheet is structured. Now, the very, very last thing is I have to tell exactly what ChatGPT should add to my Google spreadsheet. What should it add? It should add the result of my prompt, right? I gave it a prompt here in this step. Now it should add the result of that prompt. Where do I want to add it? I can add it to, for example, the column A. It doesn't matter. The important thing is the result has to be mapped here. This is field mapping. We do a lot of this when setting up workflows, when creating list imports inside marketing automation tools. We're basically just connecting the dots, right? We're telling the tool, hey, first you're gonna watch this document, then you're gonna get all that document, right? Based on document ID. Then you're gonna get ChatGPT to look at the document, turn that content into a LinkedIn post, and that result of that prompt, right? The result of that thing that you did, you're gonna add it to a Google spreadsheet. This is the automation that we're setting up here, okay? Hopefully this is not too confusing, but let me know below if you have any questions. Let's just go ahead and let's test this automation. So let's do this together. Just to make sure that the automation is really, really working and we don't get confused here, I went ahead and I deleted all the content that we had in that spreadsheet and all the content that we had in that folder. Let me create a new Google Doc, and then we're gonna run the automation, and then hopefully we should see the very first row added to that spreadsheet. I didn't have to do this. I just wanted to do this because I'm giving the same example based on the same tutorial, and I don't want us to get too confused when looking at all these different automations here. So I created a document. It's called 123. I've added here to my Google folder. Okay. 123. Now, my spreadsheet is empty, as you can see here. Okay, I deleted everything that we had in here. Now let's run this automation. Time for the truth. And here you go! Woo! Starting with HubSpot can fill juggling spreadsheets, random emails, sticky notes, blah, 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 my new tutorial. Great, this is pretty much it. So the automation is working. If by any chance you encounter any errors in the process, make.com will tell you exactly where you have to look at. My best tip for you is actually run one module at a time by clicking with the right button of your mouse. Run this module only, and then run this module only, and then run this module only, just so that you can see actually where the error is, okay? Sometimes it's just a matter of mapping the right stuff. And once you're done, you're gonna click to, you know, turn it on. In a free make.com account, you can run automations every 15 minutes, but you can't really run an automation for example, 1 minute or something like that, because that is a paid feature. Okay, so 15 minutes is the maximum you can run automations for. So what that means in this case here, if I leave it as it is, 15 minutes, you know, every 15 minutes, this automation will run. So every 15 minutes, this automation will look at my Google Documents and see if there's anything new added. And then 15 minutes later again, and then 15 minutes later again, and then 15 minutes later again, and so on and so on and so on. Okay? And the only thing that I spend here in terms of money is actually my OpenAI credits. I bought a bundle of credits some time ago and it's still lasting. So let me add some description for you below on buying OpenAI credits. This is it. Quite a long tutorial here, but this is really helping me out save time with content repurposing. Don't forget that you can add the exact same logic, right? You can start from something inside a Google Doc, and then you can add it, send it as a Slack message, right? It doesn't have to be Google Doc to spreadsheet. This is just what works for me. You can get something that is in a Google Doc, and you can get, you know, make.com to actually post about it on LinkedIn, something like that, right? LinkedIn is also a series of an app you can use in an automation. You can connect, I don't know, right? Anything that comes to your mind, as long as it's available in terms of apps here in your list of apps, right? There's plenty. So don't worry about options here. So this is my tip for you today. Hope you liked this automation. Let me know in the comments if you have questions and if you have suggestions of new AI powered automations I should create here in the channel. Bye bye.